Welcome back, Nick Lenz, Movie Review episode 132. This is a review movie I've only seen once, but it's an awesome movie to watch. Released in 2007, and I believe this is the first film directed by Zack Snyder. This is 300. The famous line from the film, "This is Sparta." Yeah. Gerard Butler plays his character on the picture. Yeah, that's Gerard Butler. Which apparently the guy himself, from what I've heard, after this film came out, apparently the guy is having trouble getting good leads in films. Yep, his wife is played in the film by Lena Harley, who does reprise the character in the following film. Yep, yeah. This movie is an adaptation of the 300 miniseries by Frank Miller. Yeah, this is probably by far the third film I reviewed, or is based upon something Frank Miller wrote. Though, unlike last time, it was a script that he wrote, this time it's an actual comic book. Yes. Yeah, released back in the early 90s. It was roughly, I've read it, it's a 5-issue miniseries, whereas most of it lots and lots of splash pages. That's simply what the series is. But the story for the film is this. Basically, you get King Lenos' backstory a little bit. You see him when he's a child, basically going through the Spartan upbringing. Yeah, from what they describe in the movie, yeah, that's kind of how it was when I heard in real life how Spartans were raised. Out in the wild, and the fact they basically raised me soldiers and when they were freaking children. Yep, and then pretty much he got married to Laura Harley. They have a son. And yes, in case you're wondering, because it's an R-rated movie, do you see his rear end in the movie? Oh, yes, you do. You also see Laurel Hardy in the nude as well. Because why not? Then, of course, he's contacted by the Persians. Yep, contacted by the Persians because they want to annex Sparta into the empire. Now, from what I've heard about the whole animosity between the Spartans and the Persians, this is partially based upon real life. A lot of the battle stuff they do in the movie, that's heavily exaggerated. But a lot of the movie is mostly true from what I've heard about via documentary about 300, the real life 300 Spartans. So he goes to make a deal, make a permission with these oracles, which he has to, despite the fact he doesn't really believe in them at all. He thinks they're outdated concepts. So despite the fact he basically does what prior protocol would do as a king, they deny him a chance to go to war with the Persians. Yeah, this is right after he did his infamous scene where he kicks a guy to a freaking hole and says, "This is Sparta," and him and all his Spartans just basically kick the Persian ambassador and pretty much all of his subordinates down this hole, thus pretty much sparking the war between Persia and Sparta. Yep, and he gathers his 300 soldiers, which is like, okay, you can't go to war, because yeah, and letting us basically writes out and say, "These are my 300 bodyguards. We're going for a walk." Yes, 300, which is actually pretty small. From what I heard, I think that the Spartan city, which basically was a city-state, I think the population was close to about 6, maybe about 10,000 people. So this is basically a small fraction of the population of Sparta. Yeah, I think what city-states were is that from what I've read about them, they're basically cities act like their own country. Yeah, that's simply the gist of it. And the following film kind of takes place during the events of this film. And of course, expands what's up outside of the main battle. And then they go to Thermopylae, which is the infamous battle. Which this battle did happen in real life. The way they explain the film is heavily exaggerated. Like, oh my gosh. Even Xerxes, the son of King Darius, he is very exaggerated of how he's portrayed. Because how pictures depict him is that he's basically like a typical Arab. Well, with the whole thing in his head and the Persians basically where they are. Yeah, and apparently the Persians fought with wooden shields. Yes, this is why I've heard about these people. Yep. So they basically battled him for like 3. Yeah, from what I heard, the whole battle, like the amount of time they took basically to fight the Persians at this particular battle. Yeah, the amount of time it took. Yes, that part is entirely true. Despite the fact this film is a fictionalized version of the events of the Battle of Thermopylae, which is going to be one of the most important one of the most important battles in human history. This battle takes place during the time of ancient Greece. Yep. By the way, Xerxes is depicted as a god king, which is, from what I've heard about the guy, is completely untrue. He stands at probably about 7 feet tall. He's got piercings, and he thinks he's immortal because he's bigger than a lot of his men. Yeah, in case you're wondering, does Leonos kill him in the movie? The answer is no. And what happened with the group basically after the events of this movie. Oh yeah, and basically the one thing that he did do, and the movie does basically bring this up, all the men he brings with him, all are fathers who all guys who've had sons. Though one of his men actually brings his own son with him. But yes, he made sure that these guys, despite the fact they'll die at this battle, he makes sure all these people's bloodlines all survive. Which, yeah, for a hopeless battle, for anybody who probably thinks him as a tactical genius, Leonos probably is. Despite the fact he's fighting with sword and shields. And of course, well, he does. And of course, in case you're wondering, does Gerard Butler wear the Spartan helmet in the movie? Oh, heck yes, he does. Does he wear the armor? Yes, he does dress. He does basically. Despite the fact here on the cover, you see him basically with his cape and his loincloth. Yeah, he does actually wear his arm in the movie. Mm-hmm. And, well, and of course, they had this guy, which I don't think this guy is real. They made him up from the movie, where he basically is this hunch guy who wants to offer the goat path to, I'm not saying to turn down, and of course he gets upset by this, because he's apparently part of a group of people who were cast out because they're imperfect, because the Spartans are very picky about their freaking kids, which, from what I've heard, which, the way it's described, it's kind of like Gene Roddenberry uses the basis for the frickin' Romulans and Klingons for Star Trek. A society that casts out people who are not perfect. Yeah, at least that humans don't do that. Well, not Americans, anyways. People do that probably not very nice people. So yeah, he basically throws on his Spartan armor and asks to join the Persians. He is actually accepted. He's like, after he's offered to the Persians, he accepts. He has one condition. I want a uniform. And Xerxes says, okay, kneel before me. So pretty much he falls right on the floor. Okay, that is not kneeling. It's simply just falling on the damn floor. Yeah, it's particularly weird of how this is. Eventually, he's confronted him at the final battle, which eventually, yeah, they have a small portion. They have this thing in the movie where, the movie's got very good music with it. It has awesome battles. I think it was day 2 of the battle, where they're just basically battling them, and they use in one portion of the battle, they actually use the dead bodies of the Persians as to build a freaking wall to hold back the Persians for a while. Mm-hmm. Eventually, all the Spartans are killed. Yes, that is not exactly a spoiler, but yes, because the Battle of Thermopylae was simply a victory for the Persians. A very costly victory for them because they lost a lot of their soldiers in this particular battle. Despite the fact the movie itself heavily exaggerates the battle itself, the movie itself is fantastic and basically great for a movie. I love the style that Zack Snyder uses in the movie, and, well, there is a sequel to this, but it's based on a comic that was at the time unpublished until about a couple years ago. Yeah, that's indeed true. Give this movie roughly a 9 out of 10. Really good. I mean, it's got good development with it. Xerxes does not get a lot of screen time. He gets a good amount of screen time in the movie, but as for development, well, he doesn't get much anyways because, excuse me, out of all the real people who appear in this movie, he is very heavily exaggerated of how he's depicted because I don't know much about Xerxes in real life. Basically, when I read about history, yes, despite the fact he was a conqueror and later died. Well, he died. He basically took up the fight after his father Darius was killed. Though how he's depicted killed in the next film is actually completely untrue. Yes. But they have some of the soldiers actually survive by leaving them. Though apparently the thing is, at the first battle, there was actually close to about 3,000 people there. Though at the final battle it was basically 300. Because they went out to fight the Persians off with the Navy. But they'll basically talk about more about that when I talk about 300 Rise of an Empire in the next review for the series, which I'll talk about tomorrow. Okay? Now, in the case of what I talk about for this particular movie, I may have skipped some stuff, but I basically just synopsize basically what this film is. Yeah. The only negative, I don't have really much for negatives for this movie at all. Not really, no. Aside from the fact of I'm not really a big fan of Xerxes in the movie, but everybody else is great. Very much in tone of how history depicts the Spartans. Yeah, which my personal guess is that some of their society was used as the basis of the Klingons because they talk a lot about honor. Yep. But yeah, not much I'll say about this movie, but it's really good. I highly recommend it if you're a big fan of comic books. Yeah, as far as I can tell, this is Gerard Butler, as far as I can tell, his only comic based character. As far as I know, as for Laura Hardy, I've actually seen in the series The Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Yes. In case you're wondering, when was the comic released? Like early 90s. hmm Yeah, it was released in, let's see, 1998. Yeah, 1998. Yep. Yeah. So, see you soon on next review, which will be tomorrow. Bye.